Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up? MCR family. Another weekly edition of the show, live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and oh man, it's almost a full fucking panel. I'm so excited, guys. Rob's back. Yay. Take that, Liam, in the chat. Had me all pissed off on the other show, saying Rob's is gone. It's not the same anymore. Rob's fucking back. He's never left. He's just been too busy for us, big leaguing us, I guess. Anyways, a lot to get to on today's show. And I say a lot, I mean not that much, because there's no boxing going on, it seems. Even the news we have is like interesting, I guess. It's odd. You know, Oscar De La Hoya is still calling out Triple G. I have my theories about that, I guess, because at this point, like, they are just conspiracy theories on why he keeps mentioning Triple G as his next opponent. God damn. Canelo Alvarez not fighting in Mexico. Obviously, Teofimo Lopez, what's happening with him and George Kambosos. Adrien Broner's back. Yay, I guess. And the fight I mentioned on the last show for Vergil Ortiz is going to happen. Haha, Gary, you were wrong. I was right. I love saying that. It's awesome. But anyways, guys, hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. I'm Matthew Hunter, and I'm joined on this illustrious panel with the one and only Mr. Robbie Hearns, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Good to be back. Sorry, everybody. I know the numbers have just plummeted since I left. Well, no, I didn't leave. I just, stuff was going on. But, yeah, COVID's doing its thing over here. Pretty rabid flu strain of it now. Really, yeah, we're locked down. Although I've been working all the way through it, but because good old Boris, it's not stay at home. Let's just suppress this. But go to work. If you can't work from home, go to work still. Go to petrol stations, go wherever you need. You can go get food from somewhere. Don't stay at home and let's solve this. We're just gonna, like any good boxer, we're gonna jab our way out of it. We're buying up any amount of vaccines we can. We've now approved 3 over here, so. Someone's gonna get the first jab from like the Pfizer one, and someone's gonna have the follow-up jab, and it'll be a different one, and then we're gonna get like 3 heads and that. But no.
If you really want to kill COVID, just mix the vaccines. I heard.
Yeah. Although today we heard this could be annual vaccines for the for this, so this is going to be the new normal. Vaccines every year. And good to be back. Life's just been busy and
crazy.
I've kind of got the studio back. It was kind of full of Christmas stuff, and this is.
Rob, you cut out there a little bit. Obviously, we're also joined by our other host, Mr. Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you?
I am absolutely terrible, and by absolutely terrible, I mean pretty good.
So it's another day in the U.S.
Pretty good. It's snowing in Texas. It didn't really stick to the ground. I think it stopped, but they said on the news the first time in 5 years we've had snow. We went because she wanted to see snow, and it's like falling from the sky, but like there's no snow on the ground, and she was like utterly disappointed. And now it stopped altogether. It's like she wanted to build a snowman and throw snowballs. It's like gonna happen. No, because the ground was 50 degrees yesterday, right? 55 degrees. So the ground's still warm. So you can't, it's not going to stick to the ground. So she was utterly disappointed.
Yeah, we've had a little bit. We've had a little bit here, but as soon as it comes, it's kind of gone. But yeah, I can imagine.
Does it stick to the ground?
We had no, we didn't quite get that much, but yeah, no, little bit of snow. But like I say, it kind of came and went, and now it's just the good old frosty, foggy mornings.
Well, you live in the south, right? Like you don't get as much snow in like the North London area as you do in Scotland, of course.
No, Scotland gets it a little bit more. But when we had the beast from the east, the whole country was pretty much covered in it. But yeah, no, not really. We don't really get it. But
no, you get 40 degrees and raining every day, or whatever that would.
Yeah. You always say it in Fahrenheit, and I always go, that sounds all
So
right. That's hot.
what is that? 12 degrees. 12 degrees your temperature and gray. What's the weather like today?
Yeah.
It's gray.
What
Followed
you
by
just
some
said.
gray.
Gray. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
But when the UK is like sunny, it is fucking beautiful. I will
Yeah,
give
it's
that.
nice. Yeah.
Lush.
They say that about Seattle too, but when's it nice in Seattle? Oh, June.
Hey, it's I live in Oregon, right? Like the springtime was very beautiful, and then like I don't know, like August through March, it was not. It was very rainy, and very muggy, and I'm like, actually,
Oh, is he freezing up on your end?
Yeah. He is. But yeah, I was gonna say, I don't care what the weather is right now. I ain't coming to your country. That shit looks crazy over there, right? I ain't getting on no plane. I'm like Mr. T. I ain't getting on no plane for.
That won't be a country much longer. I mean,
yeah.
it will be a country. Hopefully, Texas leads the way on that.
guys, I don't know if it's my end that keeps cutting out.
Me and Gary were fine then. We were having a really good debate.
So you guys can still hear each other and everything. It's just me, right?
Yeah.
I'll come back in a second. Okay, you guys can carry on. Talk about I don't know.
We were kind of Capitol Hill, America. Just
I said it's not going to be a country much longer. I don't know, 20 years, much longer. I don't know. It's not going to. It's just kind of the writing's on the wall. I don't know. It's a matter of time, right?
What's the over and under?
It's tough because I can see it next year, but it could go on. It could bleed out for 20 years. Like someone's bleeding. Someone got shot. How much longer till he dies? How bad's the cut? I don't know. I mean,
okay, 10 years. You betting the over or under?
It's so tough because it could be 2 years, right? But it could be 20. 10 years. That's a good number. I like that number. So by 2031, is there still one country with 50 states?
And on, we have to amend that because, like, let's say like we add DC as a statehood or like Puerto Rico, like that doesn't change it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Constitutionally, you can't add DC unless you move the capital. Puerto Rico's a different story. You can add Puerto Rico whenever. They voted on it several times, right? But yeah, we're not going to have the same country that we have now 20 years from now for sure. 10.
Come on, Gary.
I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under. Who likes to rip band-aids off slowly, right? Let's get it started.
Do it. Just do it. It will sting for a little bit, but you'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
It's 10 years. That's 2 presidential campaigns. I may go under as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Under as well.
I'm just disappointed because Trump has said that he ain't even going to be there when he hands over. I wanted to see him being like pulled from the door frame, like just hanging on. Cartoons, like when you try one, a cartoon says like the dog's going to the vet and the dog's like got all 4 eyes. Yeah, like no, I wanted that, and like wigs being displaced and just ranting and raving, and it would have been fantastic. But I guess he's just going to go play golf somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's just going to get on Air Force One or whatever and go to Mar-a-Lago and golf for the rest of his life and be fine. That's what's going to happen.
He's going to hijack Air Force One. He's like, Biden ain't getting on that plane. That's gone. That's gone. Right, you're taking me everywhere I want to go. But yeah. Boxing talk.
I guess. Yes, of course. What do you guys want to talk about first? Well, Rob, since you've been on for a while, I do want to give like the floor to you in a sense to talk about past topics, either past fights or past topics that you haven't been on to talk about. You wanted to discuss with us or present to the audience and have a discussion with. Like, I'm giving you the floor a little bit since you've been on for a while.
No, I guess I missed a lot of like the whole like COVID bubble, all that kind of thing. But some of the matchups were really good, really fun, delivered. A fight of the year was behind closed doors, right? So I think the fighters have stepped up. Some have obviously been caught on the hop. Like, yeah, I'll take the fight. I need the money during this terrible time. Oh shit, I missed weight by 5 pounds, or the difficulties of it. So I want to shout out to the promoters and the networks for giving us some content. I see the arguments like, oh, this isn't the greatest card and this isn't that, but with no gates, no, stuff like that, it was going to be difficult. But, I guess something to say is shout out to the boxing promoters. I know UFC kind of stuck the fingers up to COVID from the very beginning and was like, fuck that, we're good. And despite the criticism, Dana White kind of delivered, with Fight Island. I was expecting something kind of like that, I guess, but we ended up with a room at the MGM, Eddie's back garden, and some studio, for PBC and things like that. But, kind of ground our way through it. We saw Canelo with fans. We saw Tank with fans. Even Gary's good old state of Texas that don't care about the population. It's just like, yeah, come and mingle. It's fine. But no, we had it here as well. And, social distancing. AJ had 1,000 in Wembley Arena. But it's been a strange time. But I think, take my hat off to the promoters for kind of doing their thing and trying to get through it.
I think, honestly speaking, the only period that was like rough was the Top Rank bubble when they were the only show in town in the US. Right?
Yeah, I mean, they went early.
Everything past that, since like I want to say late August, September, everything since that point has been roughly pretty good. I mean, in terms of what we have in the context of the economic and just geopolitical environment we have right now, I think all things considered, the last 5 months or so have been pretty normal per se in comparison to the boxing world. Like you said, we've had tons of good events, good cards, great fights in the last 5 months. It was only that 5-month window from late March to the summertime, give or take, that it was rough, where it was clearly the boxing promoters trying to figure out and the networks trying to figure out how can we do this thing. And because the dichotomy of the sport, you don't have that monopolistic power of the UFC or the NBA where they can say, we're going to all go to one place and do it there, and have that sort of power in the market. All these promoters have very small relative power to each other, so they had to figure it out on their own. And all things considered, we got great events because of it.
Yeah, I think especially the back end of the year, like you say, it really picked up. We had a Canelo fight, we had Joshua, we had Errol Spence was back after the crash. In
a big fight too. It wasn't like he fought some no name in a club.
No. I mean,
the
fights went according to like the odds suggested. It wasn't like if you'd have asked me pre-pandemic anything, Errol Spence versus Danny, I'm picking Errol Spence, but. It was, like you say, marquee names that would have expected a certain amount of money. And
like we didn't see AJ or those top guys go off their mandatories to tune-ups. And I was really worried about that, to be honest. I was worried about those very top names because of COVID finding a way out of mandatories, out of some big fights, and finding just tune-ups because they just wanted to get the ring rust off. They didn't do that for most of them. So, shout out to them.
And and shout out also to the fighters. AJ took a substantial slash in what he would have normally have. They were looking at 70,000 at Tottenham football stadium for his fight, which obviously he would have taken a nice chunk of gate money, to bolster up his purse. But he didn't get near the 35, the 40 millions or whatever he was getting pre all that. So I believe rumored is it was between 15 and 20. I'm not sure on that, but that's just sort of rumor based. So shout out again to the fighters. Some of them were quite steadfast at that. Crawford said he wasn't, but he ended up doing it. But he did get his contract minimum, right? But
needed.
Yeah. So these bigger names that do draw crowds and rely on gate money kind of to bolster that significant pay discrepancy that the other fighters kind of have. Sort of shout out to them. I know some are like, well, you've got tons of money anyway. It's like, yeah, well, I'm still going in and taking these punches. So it's one of them. It's however you kind of fall on it. So yeah, no, I think especially the back end of the year, like I say, it really delivered. And I think almost, some of them were mandatories and sometimes then don't turn out to be the greatest of opponents, but it kind of held up there despite a pandemic with any other year going into the sort of the winter months and January. I know it was pushed back because of Luke Campbell getting COVID, but Garcia Campbell has a really good really, especially for a January. We wouldn't normally see stuff in January really until the back end and then going into February. So, yeah, I think boxing kind of without gates and crowds, it's still being able to deliver some interesting fights and people are tuned in. And some fights that we didn't maybe think, and they popped up on the radar and they turned out to be really great fights. And we've seen some sort of sleeper, not obviously Baranchik Zepeda was crazy, but that kind of on paper was always going to maybe deliver that kind of a fight. But others have cropped up and sort of put themselves in contention for it, but they just happened to be up against a fight that had like 8 knockdowns in 5 rounds. So, how's your luck? But there was some really, what was there, Gongora and
who you beat up? Oh God, who did you just beat up? Gary Gongora.
Ali Akhmadov.
Akhmadov, that's it. Yeah. He needed a knockout going into the final round, and bang, he got it, uppercut, and that was a crazy fight. Just there's quite a few to mention, and that. So, but yeah, I'm kind of happy with how it is. But now, coming out the back of it into the spring, we're getting a lot of promotion for some fights that have got a lot of people hyped. It's just, do they happen? That's my only, I guess, cynical, jaded boxing fan approach to looking at like Tank Garcia and those kind of things.
You think that fight's happening? Because you were on that show. You don't think that fight's happening?
No, not next.
Even though we got basically like a rollout of the fight on the Mike Tyson show.
yeah.
That seemed pretty official, right? Like that seems.
I saw
that seemed planned to me. I'll put it that way. That's why I think.
Of course, yeah. Shout out to Ellie Setback. What was he at Hotboxing? He was there. Ellie got Tank on the phone and gave it to Mike. Like Ellie's work rate is unreal, but yeah, I think staged, and I'm not sure why, because I just don't see it. I think Leonard Ellaby is saying that fight will happen, but maybe the back end of the year. So next, no. Although Garcia done an interview with Mannix and said he'll be next out in September. I was like, what? You're going to wait all that time? He said, well, I was out a year. Well, yeah, there was a pandemic in the middle of that. That's kind of why you didn't fight. But
well, if it is Tank, I can see why they're waiting for September. Right?
Yeah, but Tank said he's fighting in like April. So it doesn't.
It could be Ryan's next fight, but not Tank's next fight.
It could be, but I don't know. And to no, again, it's maybe a cynical, jaded approach, but there is a little limelight. We've just seen Canelo, despite it being on DAZN, was also available on pay-per-view. So people saying network can't work because one's on DAZN and one's on Showtime. Well, you could purchase the pay-per-view from DAZN, or you can purchase it from Showtime, mate, like a joint thing again. But I don't know. I don't see Tank coming over to DAZN to fight, and I don't necessarily. I don't think
he has to per se because of what you just stated. Like that whole network divide is now off the table in terms of an excuse, right? Because they just figured out how to make it pay-per-view on cable distributions and making it now a co-network fight instead of just a single network fight that has distribution paths is now easier to do.
Yeah, so that's maybe one silver lining, but again, I just don't think it's next. We're probably going to see, I don't know, Garcia. I think he's also going to not take Haney next. I think it'd be like a Linares or something. I don't know, but yeah, maybe it's just the skeptical, cynical boxing fan that we just don't get what we want when we want it.
This is so disrespectful to Hector Tanahara. Like I'm not even waving the flag. It is so. He's beating the current world champion. What other guy on that list beat the current world champion?
Gervonta Davis has beaten.
Gervonta Davis has, but Haney, Ryan Garcia.
Goes Haney.
A current world champion?
You didn't say current.
Yes, I did. I said current world champion.
Tanahara did not beat a current world champion when you fought him.
He's a current world champion now. He's a current world champion.
But when he fought him, he didn't.
No, but he's a current.
Just like when Haney fought a former world champion, he was a champion when he didn't fight him.
Okay, of all the world champions right now, who's beat one of the guys on that list?
Again, you're just for some reason discounting Davis, right? Like he's not involved.
Davis,
It's just Haney or Ryan Garcia we're talking about, right? Just two people.
Haney, Garcia, and Tanahara. Tank Davis already has an established guy because he's been a legitimate world champ since 2016, 2017.
Something like that, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters because Ryan Garcia still has the better win. That's the reality.
Lightweight, yeah.
Yeah, at lightweight, he has a better win. Like, that's just the reality. Who he fought was better than who Tanahara beat.
I was on Twitter and someone said, why is everyone counting Tank out at lightweight? He just fought at lightweight. He just fought, and I said, no, he weighed in under...
He weighed at 130, yeah.
And he went, yeah, but he won the... he retained the 135 WBA. I'm like, no, start. Right, okay, mute. I'm not in this thread any longer.
It's without. If you're gonna bring that in, Tank has the better win than Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has the better lightweight win. Like that goes without saying. Like Leo Santa Cruz is a borderline Hall of Famer. Like he's gonna be on some Hall of Fame nomination list that doesn't get in probably.
He ain't borderline. He's in. Like he's better be in. Like Ivan Calderon better be in.
No,
like Santa Cruz, the body of his work is Hall of Fame worthy if you put it against other Hall of Famers.
Not first ballot though, right?
I mean, that depends on who else is on. Probably not, but that depends who's on the ballot that year.
Yeah, if it's Calderon's still on the ballot.
Yeah, he will get in, I think, but he's.
Oh my god, I hate when I freeze up. Fuck you guys. Fuck
you.
God damn it.
He's a really good position.
If you want to try a different service, Matt, let me know. If it's a
I don't know what it is. I think it's just my old ass computer, to be honest. I just need a computer. And I can't go to Apple Store still because of COVID. Yay. It's been over a year not being able to go to Apple Store.
You can't even drop it off?
No, they only take they're still only taking, at least the only Apple Store next to me is still taking only orders that were placed before COVID happened.
Oh, here you can make an appointment and drop it off, tell them what's wrong, and then come. They'll tell you when you can come pick it up. Wow. Okay.
Last time I checked, it's at a backlog of orders. So I was like,
that's why, yeah.
Okay.
You're going to take up a hell of a lot of time. When they get your computer, they're going to be like, yeah, stop production, stop the orders, stop taking them in.
And remember to go pick it up, because if you don't pick it up, they usually have a policy where they'll own your laptop, and then...
Yeah, I know.
You don't want that.
I won't get my $3,000 laptop.
Why wouldn't he pick it up?
I don't know why you wouldn't pick it up. That's a really good question, Rob.
It's a Hunter Biden thing, I'm pretty sure.
All right. Okay.
Well, when you like we're a millionaire or a billionaire, when you have like 10 laptops, you kind of forget one probably.
That's true, but it's like not the laptop that's crucial. It's what is potentially
They all got porn on them, Gary. Okay, all 10. Okay, guaranteed. Back to boxing. What were we talking about? Oh, the lightweight division. So Rob, map out the next 6 months at lightweight for me. I'm pretty sure you think that Lopez Kambosos is going to happen, right? Since that's all time to go. So map it out for me. What do you think happens?
I think then Haney will have Fortuna. I think Garcia Linares, and I think Tank's going to have another like Abner Mares or maybe Gary Russell. So no lightweights for Tank.
Oh, that'd be so pessimistic. I'm okay with Gervonta doing that if he just stays at 130. Like if he's at 130 fighting like Gary Russell Jr., like I'm okay with that, right? And then he fights, let's say, a Miguel Burchell or Jamel Herring or Carl Frampton or any of the other 130 pounders after that, right? I'm okay if he just wants to make 130 pound score two, of course, like any of the 130 pounders. But I think most of us being fans, we perceive we perceive Gervonta as a lightweight now. We want to put him in the lightweight mix because of all of the great matchups at lightweight. Mm-hmm. Do we think that he's going to be a lightweight for the next 12 months? Like, is he going to fight at lightweight in this year at all? Or is it only going to be at 130?
I don't know. Because Leonard said Tank is a 130 pounder. He's not a 135. So Who knows? I think he should be involved in the mix because there's obviously the buzz already for the Garcia fight. You know, that's already, the promotion's kind of already been done for that in a way. You know, barring them coming literally face to face in person. But I don't. For me, I'd like Tank to clean out the division, but again, you got there isn't a great deal at PBC for him to do that. It would involve cross promotion or.
But it would involve cross promotion at 130 and 135.
Oh yeah. But I think the money wise, the money would talk more at lightweight. You know, there's way more to be made, especially with hashtag Garcia Tank.
So are you like the purist in you rather him clean out 130 because of the names at 130 in terms of like the violence there? Like Miguel Burchell brings violence to the table that sorry, Ryan Garcia doesn't right now. So like now we're kind of saying like the purist wants him to stay at 130 and clean that out, but 135 is the money division. I'd
like Tank to unify at least, you know, just unify whether you go undisputed and clean it out completely. But I'm not sure. I love the idea. I know the old heads are like, oh, stop all this Four Kings bullshit. But I don't mind as a kind of a sales pitch that these are like, I don't know, like the Four Princes or something like that. Just, you know, all right, you've got your kings. No one's messing with your kings. But the Four Princes. But again, it's on them. They've got to fight each other. Otherwise, it's pointless. They're just four guys in a division that aren't fighting each other. So... You know, I think the Four Kings faced each other like 9 times or something in a combination. They've had 9 fights between them. You can't christen them anything other than the 4 ducks if they go the rest of their time and they don't face each other. So I just think that at some point there's so much money to be made. And it needs to kind of be now because Teofimo has kind of said maybe a couple more if it's one of those guys. But he's going to 140. Haney will move to 140. If he still can't get himself a marquee name because he's now kind of like he potentially is like almost maybe the most skilled boxer out of the lot of them, but he's just almost the forgotten guy at the moment because I don't know, he just hasn't got that big marquee win, and he's finding it hard to get one, I think. You know, whereas Tank's already got a following and, you know,
plus he's more exciting too. That helps.
Yeah, exactly. You know, obviously Ryan is just going off the charts right now. His star power has just risen steeper than COVID cases in the UK. Similar graph, I'd imagine. I think their Garcia Campbell highlights have just crossed 10 million views. So that's like getting close to double Canelo Smith highlight on DAZN's YouTube. So this kid has got people that want to watch him. So he's definitely someone that these guys should want to associate themselves with. And then obviously Teofimo, I don't know, I guess when you air quotes undisputed, you are going to be dealt with a lot of mandatory. So, and if he's undisputed, you can't use the unifications trump mandatories because he's apparently got them all. But yeah, I don't know. It's exciting, but do I see it all happening this year? We might get one of the fights before, but I don't know which one. And again, it's kind of will we or won't we? I don't know.
Before I go to Garrett, the same question of mapping out 135 for this year, I want to point out that while the comparisons to like the Four Kings is hyperbole for like the on surface, like on paper, obvious stat that like all those guys had like 20-year careers and Hall of Fame careers and like were dubbed Four Kings in the process of having Hall of Fame careers while these guys are all relatively young. But also like that stat of like they've had like 9 fights amongst each other. They had those 9 fights along the way of a 20-year career. And some of them had a Hall of Fame career before they even faced one of the other kings. Like Roberto Duran had a Hall of Fame run at 135 before he ever faced any of the other 4 kings. So always put that in context. All these guys we're talking about now are between the ages of 20 and 26 years old, right? Like these are very young guys. Like we're putting a lot of hope in them because we see all the star power that they have already at age 20 to 26 years old. Gary, mapping out 135, how do you see it go down in the next 6 to 12 months?
Like, I'm actually getting annoyed that Hecatana, and I'm not you guys, right? That the fact that Hecatana is not in this conversation, like, is frustrating to me, right? Like, it really
He's
is.
the Benitez. He's the Wilfred Benitez right now.
He's the Drew Brees. When everyone was like, "Oh, Brady or Manning or Rodgers," like, well, I think Drew Brees might be the best of the lot. Just saying. It's also from Texas, by the way. I think it's anti-Texas bias. Just saying. No, I think Garcia and Tank is going to happen. I think I don't, 6 months. I don't know, but it'll happen by September, which is more than 6 months away. But it'll happen. I'm asking the giggles today. All right,
he's gone. I don't know. There's no coming back.
Dude, I was so not ready for that next Hecatana horror mention. I thought we had it already in the show.
It's frustrating, right? Like, he's the Drew Brees. It's like Manning, Rodgers, or Brady. It's like, well, I think you're missing one guy there who might be the best of the lot.
Because you can throw Shakur in, right? You can Shakur in there. I saw someone say Kambosos, he's good. I'm like, whoa. yeah. He's
a little bit too inclusive there, man.
He might be the jester to the king. I don't know.
So I think you get. Obviously, I think you get Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo washes him. That'll happen sooner rather than later, in the next 6 months. I think you get Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, and here's why, right? Oscar has to work now, and I think you're seeing him work, right? Because when he had Canelo, it was just like, whatever. Like, oh, we need money? All right, Canelo, you're up, right? Like, it's like having Michael Jordan on your roster. Okay, here's an idea. Give Michael the ball and get out of his way. Right? Like, it's not that difficult, right? To have Canelo make you money. Now he's got to work. And if you go back to Oscar's career, you can say what you want about him. Oscar did what he had to do to make big fights, right? Oscar versus Tito Trinidad was supposed to not be able to happen. Wasn't going to happen. It happened like immediately, right? It happened when they were both at 147 and both still just entering their prime. Then he got the fight. He made the fight with Whitaker when everyone said it was too soon for him. He made the fight with Mayweather when they were like, the demands are just too high. And then he got the fight with Pacquiao, and it's like, oh, he can't work with Top Rank anymore. He did all these things, right? So I think he's going to do what he needs to do to get Ryan Garcia that fight, because he needs Ryan Garcia. And I want to talk about, there's 10 million views. How many of those 10 million views do you think are from teenage girls? And is that a good thing? Because I think it was good for Oscar, right? Like, you put younger eyes on it, and if girls are going to watch it, their guys are going to watch it too, and that's good, right? So, I mean, how much of it do you think it's like a teen heartthrob? I know he's not a teen anymore, but like a teen heartthrob thing. And is that good for boxing?
Well, look, all the actors on Saved by the Bell were like 30 years old, so like it's okay. You can be a teen heartthrob and not be a teenager. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Ryan Garcia has a clear base of like that younger crowd, that Gen Z crowd. Like, he clearly is a Gen Z phenomenon in the boxing community that we really haven't had yet. And obviously that's due to just, generational, demographic movement. Like, it's a new generation. So therefore, this is kind of the time when we should have seen the first Gen Z boxing star come up, and we got one. It's Ryan Garcia. It's without a doubt him. Everyone else has some level of stardom that we talk about, like Devonta Davis and Devin Haney. They have some star power. I don't want to discredit their star power.
Well, to put it, sorry,
Ryan
I was going to
Garcia
say,
is like stratosphere. It just seems like that.
For sure. I was going to just bring it up. Roughly, if memory serves me right, like I said, Garcia, Campbell highlights, 10 million. Tank, Santa Cruz is like 1.8, 1.9 million on PBC, on Showtime or whatever, YouTube channel. Teofimo and Loma, I think it's around 2 point some, I'm not sure, around 2 to 3 million. And then poor Devin Haney Gamboa is like 750. So there hasn't even broken a million. So I was kind of keeping an eye on the numbers, because I was kind of interested to see if Ryan Garcia's 8.3 million Instagram. I know it doesn't maybe correlate as every single one of his Instagram followers then checked out the highlights, but just as a comparison, because some of these guys have got like high numbers or certain followers, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're all tuning in. But he's now surpassed. And interestingly, DAZN's highlight video, despite being on the new global launch, the YouTube channel, the highlights was only available to US viewers for the first 24 hours, and then it was released. It was kind of like unblocked, geo-blocked for everybody. So I think it got to like 5-ish million, and then it was released in that 24-hour period to everyone to see, and it's now like doubled. So if that's an indication of more of a, I don't know, a global kind of interest in Ryan Garcia, or whether that's just, word of mouth and it was trending and whatever, and it's still a hell of a lot of US followers, I guess, only by metrics that we haven't got that you'd see where these views are coming from. Be quite interesting to know. But he's clearly the star / draw. People would argue whether that correlates into is either A side like money wise and that, but I don't know. I think these guys have got a real case to just completely blow these welterweights that are now boring us to death out of the water by fighting each other. 135 could be the new glamour division, the real, because it's kind of been quiet, I would say, I think it used to be a glamour division, that 147 and obviously the heavyweights. And then the lightweight kind of fell off, but now this could just take over. It could be the matchups between the five, Gary. Obviously with Shakur thrown in there. Tanahara 6, my bad. But I think there's some really great matchups, and it'll just a few combinations of that, I think eclipses what Spence Crawford could do if it was a pay-per-view. I think Tank and Garcia does more numbers than Spence Crawford, I think.
So wait, if, let's say, hypothetically, right, Spence Crawford is made in the next 6 months pay-per-view, right?
Well, this is a leap of faith, but go on.
No, I trust me, I did. And Davis versus Garcia is made in the next 6 months as pay-per-view, of course. Which one does a higher pay-per-view buy rate?
Tank Garcia for me.
I can argue both sides of that coin, right? Like Tank's got the knockout that went viral, right? With Leo's passed out with a smile on his face.
And that was a clean knockout.
And now Ryan Garcia just is putting up these huge, internet sensation numbers. Like I could make I can make that argument. I don't know if it does, but there's certainly a case to be made for that. Like just because of the star power of Ryan Garcia, I think you have the Tank Davis just becoming a star in his own right. Like Tank Davis is the biggest star than Terrence Crawford, right? Like,
yeah.
How much selling power? I mean, how many people will spend $70 to watch Ryan Garcia? I think if your lady says, "Hey, do you want to buy the fight?" Yeah, I want to buy the fight. I think that's gonna help. I really do. Like I don't know if I'm ready to say it does more, but like that's an argument that can be made.
I'm ready. It does more. It does 200,000 more.
Wow, that's a lot more.
Yeah.
So wait,
I really do. I think that just the buzz and interest is there. I think, although if someone said, like you said, it's made, it's on, Spence Crawford, I think people were like, fuck yeah, finally. But I don't think Crawford's that guy. If Crawford is the air quotes B-side and Garcia is the air quotes B-side to Tank or whatever, Garcia is on another level of B-side to Terrence Crawford.
And even flip it, like Tank's a better B-side than Crawford.
Yeah.
Like, even to flip it, like it doesn't matter. Like clearly we know Crawford's the B-side in his equation, and whoever's the B-side in Tank Garcia, they're a better B-side than Crawford. I know. I see your point. Look, I definitely get your argument because look, when Tank Davis came in and did a 200,000 something pay-per-view buy rate, right? That was a clear sign that he has star power because lightweights and junior lightweights, they don't do that. That's not normal. And we haven't seen Ryan Garcia on pay-per-view yet, but I think he would do relatively similar numbers in terms of around the 200,000 mark, to be honest. Like if Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia was pay-per-view, They did the same distribution,
which I believe it was. I've seen some people showing their purchase. It was $35 somehow through whatever.
in the same like Mellow Smith.
But without the 4 months subscription added on, or what the sales pitch. Also, by the way, I saw Jake Donovan tweeted it. You can buy the iTunes $20 iTunes card or the PlayStation Store cards. There's now a design you could buy a month subscription.
I've seen those for a while now, I think.
I thought that was a pretty neat idea. But I think I'll put it to you guys and the chat. You can only buy one. Spence Crawford gets made or Tank Garcia gets made. Which one are you buying?
I like this question better. Oh, which one am I buying? Gary, I'll go to you first because you have some Texas fighters in this mix, or at least a Texas fighter in the mix with Earl Spence. So,
yeah, Spence fight. I mean, which one am I personally buying Spence?
Yeah, you can only
You can only buy one.
And let me add this: you can't watch the other one live. You have to wait for the next day.
You can't even watch the other one.
Oh no, I can't do that.
Ever in your whole life? I still haven't watched AJ versus Dillian White, and now I won't watch it out of principle. Never seen it, and everyone goes, "You've never seen AJ versus Dillian White." You know what? Now I'm never going to watch it. Just like Gladiator, I've never seen Gladiator. Never going to watch it now.
What? There's too many fucking woe moments there.
I can't tell if they're real. Are those
They're
real?
I've never seen AJ versus Dillian White, and now I'm never going to watch it because just out of principle. Because I get
out of what principle?
People are like shocked. Like I said, I've never had a hamburger. Like you've never seen AJ? No, now I'm not going to watch it. And I've never seen Gladiator.
You've clearly had a hamburger.
The same thing. You've never seen Gladiator? Now I'm not going to watch it.
Gary,
wait. He's clearly had a hamburger. Come on. Me too.
Gary, first off,
that's payback for the bold joke.
Gary, I think first off, that logic is a little bit childlike.
Yeah.
Two,
I'm not childlike. You are.
Your mom. Two, AJ. I don't know what people have told you about the fight, but it's a good fight. It's not like a fight of the year contender, but it's a solid fight. It's an
Dillian loses his shit and goes swinging after the round's gone. That's crazy.
From what I remember, it's 6 rounds. It's one of those you can watch in and out super fast. You should watch it.
You've seen the knockout though, right?
Yeah, have you
seen the knockout?
Yeah, I've seen yeah.
Okay. Then that's fine, I guess.
Wow.
It is a quick fight. It's 4 or 6 rounds. It's not like it was that much.
I think it was in the 7th. I'm not sure, but 7th, maybe. Yeah.
Anyways, Gladiator.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome movie. So I don't know what is. That feels like it would be your movie too.
I've never seen it, and then it was it got to the point where everyone looked at me like I said I never saw Rocky, right? And then it's all right, you know what? That? I'm never gonna watch it now.
No, but that's ridiculous. Your train of thought is ridiculous.
And I'm pretty sure Gladiator won more Academy Awards than Rocky too. So
what's Rocky? Rocky,
the original.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that little chipmunk's in the Hall of Fame, right?
By the way, totally unrelated, but to that show, Rocky and Bullwinkle, they made a new cartoon show on, I think it was on Amazon. Surprisingly good. My kid watched it.
Okay. I'm not watching it out of principle. Are you would you never watch the remake of Rocky and Bullwinkle? No, I'm not going to watch it then.
Fucking heathen.
That's bizarre, Gary. That's really strange.
Have you seen Troy? Is that Ridley Scott movie? Or Oliver Stone with the Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Did you like that movie?
Yeah, it was good. It's not my favorite movie ever, but yeah, it's good. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, Gladiator's like that. It's a good fucking action.
I'm sure it is a good movie. I'm just not watching it at this point out of principle. Just to get the response. You've never seen Gladiator? What am I, a horrible person?
Someone in the chat, Gary, Gladiator is partly set in Italy. Get on it.
I'm never going to watch it again. Now I know that.
it is definitely pro-Italian. There you go.
In the north, Rome and above, right? Not southern Italy, especially not Sicily.
Well, to be fair, I think most of the movie is actually probably not in Italy. If you combine the part in Germany and the part in Africa, but I don't know for sure whether the time is equivalent or not. But digressing, back to boxing.
After that bombshell,
I know it's so depressing, man. We've been on here and have like long debates about Lethal Weapon franchise movies. And Gary's like, I've never seen Gladiator. I never will. I'm just so disappointed in you, Gary. Like, I thought you were more of a cinephile than that.
I'm not. Like, I like movies. Like, we used to, like, growing up, we used to watch movies. Like, the night we wouldn't watch sports, we had, like, movie night and watch, like, 2 movies, like, as a kid. I like movies, but, like, I wouldn't say I'm a cinephile. Like, Matt has way more movie knowledge than I do.
And I still have shit movie knowledge. I just watch a bunch of movie reviews and pretend like I've seen those movies.
That's a good way to do it. It's like watching the highlights of a game and saying,
It's the same exact thing.
Reading the cliff notes and saying you read the book.
During Christmas break, I watched a movie review series about all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, all the Friday the 13th movies, and all the Halloween movies, and I hate slasher movies. I did that, though. Why? Because I was partly bored, and they were fun. And now I can pretend like I've seen them.
Do you know how many American fights when we used to do like a review of what happened at the weekend that I didn't see and gave my opinion on? Loads. Rob, did you watch it? Of course I watched it. I'm a boxing fan.
First off, Robieski, Terminator 1 is not better than Terminator 2. That's just blasphemy. And 92 Coup is saying that he thought Russell Crowe was Spanish, not Italian, in Gladiator. It's true that he lived and his villa was in Spain, but he was still fucking Italian. Shout to imperialism. And Jay saying Matt is a 50-year-old man in a 24-year-old's body. I'm 25, motherfucker. Okay, and I'm gonna be
and he's easily in a 60-year-old's body.
at least, man, at least.
Whereas I'm sporting the Thurman right now. Hang on. Yeah. How did he take the photo?
Yeah, that just means he's serious, guys. He's back in it. Okay, he's coming for all of your favorite fighters' throats.
2021, a new me.
He's coming for Amir Khan, Rob. He's coming for Earl Spence, Gary.
Fight Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz wants to fight him or Danny. Step up.
Virgil Ortiz is fighting Maurice Hooker, okay, and he clearly loses to Maurice Hooker, right? Right, Rob?
Yeah, Maurice Hooker's getting ironed out.
I mean, he might get.
Hooker's my guy. I love Hooker.
Hooker's gonna get dog walked, isn't he?
But you said by who, right? Like I don't.
By the one you should be getting hyped about.
Yeah, Virgil Ortiz.
Yeah.
Look, obviously you guys know who I think is going to win. I just don't want to say it. Like I just don't want to say it.
What? Because you're picking Hooker and it's embarrassing, or because it's Ortiz and you don't want to upset Hooker?
You want to upset Hooker's trainer.
Well, Hooker trains out with Terrence Crawford and Jamal Herring out in Nebraska. With
then you're fine. He's not even like real Texan. He trains in Nebraska. I mean, this fight doesn't go the distance either, right?
Hell no. No.
Ramirez got Hooker out, within 9 rounds? 8 rounds?
No, it's earlier than that.
7,
the 5th round, I reckon.
Wow.
I want to say the 5th. I was there.
I want to say it was the 7th, but Rob could be right.
I'm looking up.
Gary's like, and someone said, "Are you not watching the fight? You're here." Yeah. Oh, I'm not watching it then. Out of principle, I know I'm ringside, but out of principle, I'm going to turn my chair around. No, I think it was like the 5th or the 6th. It was early. I think it was early. I didn't think it went past the.
He got caught with a huge shot, but it was a lot of. One of the judges had Hooker up. I didn't see it like that, but it was a good fight, and then Hooker, ate one too many shots. I mean, his defense is obviously leaky, right? So that's not a great recipe for fighting Ramirez, especially Virgil Ortiz, who's trained by the same guy Ramirez is, right? Like, it's not a good sign.
By the way, it was the 6th round that he got.
Ooh, split the difference.
Yeah.
I went over, so I'll give it to you, Rob. You were close without going over.
Gary just gave a very UK answer. But Hooker was up on the cards. Yeah, when he got splattered, it's like people when they say Canelo was Khan was beating Canelo, but he just nearly died.
and I don't think that Hooker nearly died. He got stopped on his feet.
No, all right. I'm just saying he was winning when he got beat,
and I don't think he was winning.
He was. One judge had him up. Right. I just said I prefaced that with I didn't see it that way, but it was.
I know, but let me get my jokes off.
Okay.
It's like, look, Luke Campbell wasn't winning regardless. He knocked Garcia down, got a lovely 10-9 round for his trouble. He didn't get the 10-8.
That judge needs to go. That wasn't a slip like where he kind of hit him on his way down. Like that was a thudding knockout where his eyes spun like a roulette, like a yeah. Like, oh, you kidding? Like, what did 10-8 round look like? Like
Garcia's told, I think it was Mannix, that he got up and won the round, basically. So he says it is a 10-9. So.
Okay, but I don't remember what judge that is. But I'm going to go through his scorecards now, and because that happens a lot, right?
Yeah,
like Tyson Fury in the first knockdown round, and maybe the second knockdown round. Like he won those rounds after that, but like
still a 10-8.
Exactly. I mean, you better do something crazy, like Holyfield did against Bo. If you get knocked down and won a 10-9 round, and I think all the judges scored that 10-8. Like you get knocked down, it's clean, good knockdown. It's a 10-8 round.
Yeah, how many 10-8 rounds are going to be in Ortiz Hooker?
Depends how long the fight goes.
I'm thinking 10-7s, but
I'm glad that you guys think that Ortiz is that good.
We've always been high on Ortiz.
No,
we're not high on Tanahara.
Hooker being that bad.
No, Hooker's not bad, but
it's just for Gary's benefit. Come on.
That's true. I'm sorry. I ruined the troll. My bad. But Hooker doesn't belong in this weight class. That's just the reality.
I think he does. I think he doesn't belong at 140. He's too big. He can't make it comfortably. Like he's totally drained. You see him at the weigh, and he looks like a skeleton. It's like that just can't be healthy over and over again.
A skeleton.
He needs a massive strength and conditioning routine and program to like build up to 147 pounder.
Would you agree with this? When Jamel Herring went over to Bomac, don't you think McIntyre drastically improved him? He's much better now with McIntyre than he was previously.
I don't know if that's the case.
Did you think he was going to be a world champion before going over to McIntyre?
Okay. Sorry, Jay in the chat said, I've never seen Tanahara fight because of this show. Oh, wait.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Gary, repeat the question to me because I forgot what the question was.
Sorry, my bad.
Don't you think that Jamel Herring is much better now with Bomac than he was pre-Bomac?
Okay, I'm going to look up his resume. When did he get with Bomac?
I think that it was after the loss. I think the De Los Santos fight was his first fight with Bomac. So it was after his loss to who was his second loss to? It was Chapikov, and then it was
Ladarius Miller.
Ladarius Miller. So after that, yeah.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that he just lost to really good fighters, to be honest.
So you think you would lose those guys again?
I mean, Shafikov? Yeah, I mean, Shafikov is one. Well, Shafikov hasn't fought in like 2 years. Like,
yeah,
he might be dead somewhere for all we know. He might piss off the Russian mob. Like, who knows with Denis Shafikov? But Denis Shafikov is a guy that, like, gave Richard Comey a fight for his life. Like, Denis Shafikov is one of those guys, like, he is a perennial top 5 lightweight when he was at lightweight. Okay, he was the better version of Provodnikov that people never gave the props because he wasn't with HBO like Provodnikov was. Like, that's just the reality. Ladarius Miller, who's now at 130, right? Not 135. He also dropped down to 130, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And he beat Jezreel Corrales, didn't he? Or Jezreel Corrales?
No. Did he fight Jezreel Corrales? Chris Colbert fought Jezreel Corrales.
He beat Jezreel Corrales. Okay. So we just have like good fighters, and then Michael Rivera beat him. But Michael Rivera is another great prospect / contender, right?
Real good, yeah.
We're talking about really good fighters here that Jamel Herring lost very narrow decisions to at a weight class that maybe he was just a little bit too, like, he wasn't as conditioned for. Maybe when he drops down to 130, he's just more conditioned as an athlete. I don't know. It's a little bit hard with Jamel Herring because I haven't seen him fight someone that is of the level of Denis Shafikov or Ladarius Miller yet. Because Ito and Lamont Roach aren't those guys, even though they are good fighters. Like, Ito's a good Japanese fighter, and Lamont Roach is a good regional fighter. He's a good club fighter, but
I was gonna say Ito, but then he just lost to a guy, a prospect, like a 10-0 prospect, a 10-0-1 prospect, just like right before the new year.
It's hard for me to go like, yeah, man, Jamel Herring's a completely different new fighter now with Bomac when I pick Shakur Stevenson and Chris Colbert to pick Jamel Herring.
I mean, those guys are. I mean, look, those guys are special though. Both those guys are special.
Jamel Herring is just not really a special guy. He's just a good fighter.
Yeah, and that's kind of
and good fighters can maximize their potential, and that's kind of what we got right here.
I think Bomac has got maxed him out. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Bomac got the most out of him that there is to get out of Jamel Herring.
But back to the original topic. I forget what the original topic even was.
Ortiz Hooker.
Thank you. I don't know if this is. Let me phrase this. I think Ortiz Hooker is probably the best matchup they could have gotten right now, but we're still in a position where Ortiz is not really getting propelled towards a title fight. It still feels like he's stagnating to some degree. This is a far better name in terms of opponent value, but it doesn't get him any closer to a title shot, in my honest opinion.
One thing. So this is the fight that Ortiz wanted for credibility reasons, right? Like growing up, he watched Hooker in the Golden Gloves, right? Like, and then Hooker became a world champion. He's like, I can beat him. I can beat him. I can beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's one of those things where it's like Hooker and Spence looked at him like the little kid, like, you're good. you ain't like us though. I think because Ortiz used to call him out once a week when he was a world champion, right? I think it's like Ortiz is like, I told you so. I told you I could beat you. And Hooker still looks at him like, you're just that little kid. Like, you're good. You're not a grown up like us. Like, you can't fight with us. I think there's a lot of that too. I think it's kind of not that Hooker's been, an ass to him or anything. I just think it's like something personal, like a little brother complex that Ortiz has. Like, I can beat him. I could always beat him. And I think that's why he wants this fight. Not that it's going to propel him to a world title fight in his next outing. It's he personally wants to beat Hooker.
And even then, like, it's still like a quality name. Like, I don't mean to discredit this opponent. I'm just stating that because of the way the structure of like this division is and like who people are aligned with, this fight is a good fight, but doesn't get him towards a title shot. And that's the unfortunate reality with this division and who he is affiliated with.
Yeah, I mean, until this is weird, but Sean Porter fought who did he just fight? The guy Conor Ben just fought.
Yeah.
Sebastian, no.
Formella,
Formella, right?
Formella.
Yeah.
Ortiz was in the mat. He was number one in the WBO. He was looking to be Crawford's mandatory, and then Sean Porter takes the scalper Formella, and he leapfrogs Virgil Ortiz to become.
No, Ortiz was always number two. There was no number one. Danny Garcia was number one, and Danny Garcia left those to go fight Errol Spence. And when he fought Spence, Ortiz stayed at two, and then they just put Porter at number one. Ortiz was never one. He was always two.
Yeah, all right. But I'm just saying he was like there, and then suddenly a win over Formella gave, it seemed to propel Porter, but whatever. But I agree with Matt that bringing a guy up from 140 and beating him, which I think he will convincingly, isn't, you haven't fought maybe someone that's been a 147 guy in the top 10 that's going to help your ranking and your position and your sort of push towards that title shot. But maybe it's a good thing because at some point I think Spence leave the division and he's going to be a guy that can come in behind. It'd just be, I guess, a shame that he's maybe going to do it the either vacant route or a lesser name rather than the way you want to beat a champion. It might be a case of he picks up a vacant and then he obviously set out his kicking on with his legacy, I guess. But yeah, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but he's young enough to come anyway with the to do his own thing. Doesn't necessarily need to be right in the mix right now, but I don't know, maybe it's a blessing or not, I don't know.
If I was Ortiz, I think there's a name I mentioned on the last show too. I would have pushed for Jesse Vargas. Like Jesse Vargas is the name in the DAZN stable. If you're a welterweight prospect, you should be going after.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think Jesse's like, I ain't doing 147 again. He's going back like what he's doing 154, and it could well be like a Liam Smith, that kind of. Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
didn't get the Munguia fight. So that was the whole point of going to 154 was to get the Munguia fight, right?
Yeah, but then Munguia went 160, so that never,
Exactly.
I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of what I've seen regarding Jesse Vargas and Liam Smith. It seems to have been conversations between those two guys. They were going to both see Eddie at, was it the Canelo fight? Canelo Smith. They were all in town, and both guys sort of signaled that was their plan, their route, what they were going to do, and try and pin Eddie down and get the fight across the line. So maybe look out for that one when more US shows get announced.
Yeah, agree. Anyways, moving on. It's on that note of UK boxing, all that stuff. Let's talk about what's happening in the UK scene with rescheduling and also the business movement of Matchroom Sky and DAZN. The Sky Sports Matchroom deal's up in May 2021, so just in 5 months or so. And obviously we have DAZN and Sky, or I should say DAZN and Matchroom, seemingly strengthening their relationship over the last few months or so, right? Rob, since you're in the UK, you live in this market. Your thoughts on this love triangle?
Being a family member is very difficult to give out too much information. Yeah, this is with Eddie on the brink of announcing 5 more shows in the UK, probably anywhere between, he always says like tomorrow, and it's usually the next day or the day after. So by Wednesday, we should hear the full sort of spring schedule for UK shows, and they seem to all be coming to an end in April. There'll be through to April, five. I think it's 5 shows to be announced, including White Povetkin 2, Warrington Kanzu, I think Kelly Avanesian, and then some more sprinkled in. He mentioned a whole bunch like the women champions and that, but all getting out. See the return of Joe Cordina after hand surgery, that kind of thing. It's quite a few, obviously. I think it'll be 7 cards. January, no boxing, which threw off Kelly Avanesian. So that got pushed back again. That fight just looks doomed to never, ever happen, but maybe we will get it finally. But yeah, interestingly, the run of shows is going to come to an end in May, or like the beginning of May, and then the Sky deal runs out. And having to listen to, and again, I'll put this in a kind of, so take it with a pinch of salt maybe, but Bob Arum was on Macklin's Take, which if people don't know is Matt Macklin, who works for Sky, and Andy Clark, who works for Sky. Their little podcast, they've done a great job during put out a lot of content with good interviews and stuff like that. But they had Bob Arum on talking, obviously, the possibility of Joshua and Fury and this, the Wilder arbitration and this, that, and the other. And then it came up about sort of network stuff, and Bob had in the past, not so distant past, mentioned Top Rank in the UK, which people were like, well, who have they got? Like maybe Conlon and. Who else have they kind of got? There's a UK guy, Frampton and stuff, but they haven't really got a UK stable to put on UK shows. But Bob was like, yeah, definitely, we want to do that. And so I think Andy Clark, who obviously, like I say, works for Sky, was like, could we see maybe the likes of a Top Rank on Sky? And he was like, yeah, kind of for sure. Eddie's looking like he's going to the zone, and we'll be looking for like a UK network. It's kind of like you're just talking to two Sky guys that Eddie's going to, which I'm sure they're sort of more than aware of and the possibility of. But it was kind of, does Bob know they both work for Sky? Because it's like you're going to lose Matchroom. So I think it will be. I think Matchroom will drift over to the zone now they're global, because I think Eddie's just bought, was it Kayaguchi? Japan. He's talked about doing Japanese shows. I think you're going to see Matchroom expand into other countries and actually put on cards in those countries, and that just goes alongside the DAZN global app. So I think that will be the route, and then I think we maybe see Sky pick up like MTK shows, and possibly like Top Rank, or they might be a bit more selective, like looking at what maybe boxing cost. They provided, I think, decent level of money into help Matchroom put on the shows during the lockdown and the camp, but I don't know about loyalty as such, but I think, it's business, and I think DAZN are gonna want to really cement, not just rely on US shows and putting them on a UK friendly time. It will be, we've got UK shows as well, so I think we're gonna, and then that's when UK fans can expect the price hike in their DAZN subscription, because $1.99 at the moment compared to you guys $20 if you weren't grandfathered in the beginning. 20 there's a bit of a difference. But, and shout out, by the way, my refer a friend went very well, tweeting it underneath Eddie's posts and DAZN's posts. I've now got 64 free months of DAZN, so I don't care what they put it up to for the next 4 or 5 years.
How did you get 64 free months? That's like 5.5 years.
For every person that signed up using my link, I get a free month.
You got 64 people?
64 people have clicked.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, why I don't get it for free anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you basically like started DAZN, from what I hear.
you know.
And by the time those 64 months run out, DAZN will be completely out of business. So you've got it.
I mean, I might need a refund. I'm due a DAZN rebate right now. I don't know, but maybe judging by Joe Markowski putting out a tweet like any we're open to any criticism. Let us know what you think. And damn, UK is this commentary team. This is awful. I mean, love him or hate Gareth A. Davis. I love him, but why was he part of that broadcast? Like, cut into a soulless back room with a TV that says DAZN on it. Didn't even have the fights on it. It's like, it's your broadcast. They could have kind of weird cutting across to the UK to get, and obviously Mannix rubs people kind of the wrong way, and Grisham was getting some stick, and I don't mind Grisham. He's kind of that's what I expect from American commentary. But
oh no, man, he's awful.
Nah, I don't mind it. It's that hyped up, like for the knockout moment. I think I saw people complain, but that's kind of like Adam Smith does. When the moment comes, I think he's all right, but it's shit filler in between.
That's the problem. Is it's so much awful filler and horrible, terrible questions. It's not necessarily his call that's terrible. It's like his personality, which is the worst ever.
I hate his voice. Like I've never wanted to like hit someone in the face just for hearing their voice as much as Todd Grisham.
Oh man, that's harsh.
Yeah,
I don't mind him. Like I say, the knockout moment, I think he delivers it well. But it's, I guess, I'm not like, because this is kind of what I expect. Like, I've watched other US commentary, and obviously the great stuff from the past, HBO stuff, and a really good Showtime stuff. But what we're getting lately, like hearing like Lennox Lewis on BBC, and I don't know, some of it, I think it's real hard. I mean, who is it?
You can't compare different commentating jobs to different commentating jobs. Like compare like Brian Kenny, or who would be else on the BBC team that does like the play-by-play.
Who's there when Kenny's not there?
Bernstein still do it?
No, that's Showtime.
That's Showtime.
And he's not the play-by-play guy. That's Morrow.
Morrow.
Play-by-play.
Awesome, by the way.
I like Morrow a lot. Who is the guy other than Brian Kenny? There has to be another guy on the FS1 shows. Why if I'm not?
Ray.
Oh, Ray Flores.
Ray Flores. Yes. Who isn't bad, but
he's my want to punch in the face voice, to be honest.
He tries too hard. That's like Todd Grisham. Todd Grisham tries too hard for me. Like, they're just try hard. Like, just have it be effortless. Like, this is not your natural personality. Morrow is like that 24/7. And that's why I give Gareth Davies a little bit of
he's like that.
Because he's like that 24/7, man. You talk to Gareth.
I just don't think it worked in the broadcast. That's my gripe. I like I say, I don't mind Gareth A. Davis. He's a character. He's kooky, kind of funny guy. But I just don't think, like, right, we'll cut live from the venue to live in a studio in the UK to get the English guy's opinion and Ricky Hatton. Like, for Canelo, they had Joe Kawasaki in there. It just, with like a monitor behind them that just has the DAZN logo on it. It's like, you can put the fight on it, can't you? So it's, I would
love for DAZN to do that with like an American crew, have like an American media personality with an American fighter that's like on site too. They can go back to if you want, and you can have it
but just in studio, from live to in studio, it was just kind of weird. I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
I think the reason why they want that is because they want that screen to go to, and the way you can offset that is you have a back room in the stadium that you convert into that broadcasting room, basically. So you can still be on site, but if you want that TV to be able to show highlights or analyze clips, you can do that. It would be similar to, like, obviously, like in mainstream sports, the commentators, the broadcast team isn't really like right next to the field, right? They're in a booth up top in the stadium, right? And they can have a screen and they can analyze stuff. Just do that with, Ricky Hatton and Gareth Davies when it's a UK card on DAZN. And it's the US, have it be, I don't know, because I think they only have Sergio Mora that wants to do it. Someone else that's a fighter and a media personality, because that works.
And shout out to Kate Abdu, obviously, for her comment about Henry Garcia's great sperm. Like, just
the second best moment of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's stole 2021 so far as a commentary moment or broadcast moment, but I think a bit of rejigging maybe is in order, but I don't know who. I wouldn't want to do it. Try to do live fight chats and you walk in, or it's difficult. It's a skill, but I just don't know who are the right people for the job, because Sky commentator, I think people just want call it as you see it, not call it with a narrative or an agenda or a bias.
That's a part of it too, but you also have to be entertaining. Like Jim Lampley had a bias in all of his HBO shows.
Yeah.
But Jim Lampley was at least entertaining. Like, he was at least good at his job.
So incredibly good at his job. It's a shame that it was as biased as he was, because he calling it. Man, there was nothing like, you could close your eyes and just listen to Lampley call the fight and you know exactly what's going on. It's like the basketball announcer Marvin Albert's like, he's so incredibly good at this. But like the bias was just hard to take with Lampley sometimes. But at his job, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, Todd Grisham, he's bad and he's biased.
I wonder how hard it is to go from being a radio guy to a TV guy. I've heard before that they're different disciplines, very different skills.
I would have thought.
But I would love Mike Costello just to see what he would from BBC Radio, what he would be like calling a live card with, obviously where I think it'd be great.
It should be that much.
He always gets great commentary, great feedback. People say I've watched the fight again and I've had it with Mike Costello. He's so good at what he does, but I don't know. I think it's just a different skill, maybe. But I don't know who those guys are that are out there that may be new, fresh, and that would gel. I guess it takes time as well.
Absolutely.
Certain guys join into a team that was already established, like, I'm not too keen on the new guy kind of thing. But when it was a brand new broadcast and it was Sugar Ray Leonard, and I think it's just a work in progress and finding the right people. But
And to the zone's not credit, to criticize the zone more, they did make the mistake of hiring a bunch of people that like had experience, right? Like Todd Grisham has had a ton of experience on big networks and was like fired from all of them. Sugar Ray Leonard, I mean, I know he was like on the first few the DAZN broadcasts, right? But like we've heard Sugar Ray Leonard as a commentator before, and we universally do not like him as a commentator. Like we, as the boxing community has decided, we all agree that Sugar Ray Leonard is not a good commentator. A legendary fighter, not good on the mic, not a great commentator. You know.
But they wanted someone that you knew. Like when you turned it on, they wanted a face that you recognized. But like, it's like Magic Johnson. It's like this is. I get it. Everyone likes you. You're affable. You got the smile for it. You're just not particularly good at this.
You know, I think the zone made the big mistake of hiring people that have been in the industry for a long time, but had moved around a bunch without kind of thinking maybe there's a reason they moved around a bunch and weren't never stuck anywhere. You know, for the life of me, I do not know why they didn't throw the bag at Jim Lampley and get him out of the HBO deal. Like, I'm sorry. Like, for whatever contract he has written, there's a way out of that contract. He's not doing anything. It's not like he's working at HBO still, even though he's on contract, right? So, like, they had to poach that HBO crew, and they didn't.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of time until they got Lampley. Like, they were going to work out of that contract, and we're 2 years into it now. It still hasn't happened.
I don't know what's with that Jim Lampley contract.
I think it's still or very close to being up, even though he hasn't done any calls on any box.
Still getting paid.
Is he?
Better be. If you're not letting me work, you better be paying me.
Right? Like,
I'm sure I think he must be.
They could have given like a severance and like a
but you can't work elsewhere. I don't know.
They could give him a severance and like a non-compete clause, so you can't compete with us with another network for a certain amount of time. We're going to pay you out your contract, you know, so we're going to pay you the next 5 years of your contract right now, but you can't go compete with us and another network for the next 5 years. I don't know if that's, you know, possible per se. I've heard some contracts and some severance packages like that, but that would be expensive. This has been a while.
You compete in what way? Because you're not showing any boxing right now. I don't know, but like, how can what's the competing? I don't know.
There's still HBO sports.
I suppose. I mean, I don't know what sports they have. I mean, I guess
they
have that show, Real Sports.
They're gonna show the next the 12th Ali documentary. So,
and he does the voiceover. So yeah.
in the hope that we learn something new from the other 11.
God damn it. Anyways,
Matchroom to DAZN come May, whatever. So, what effect that has on a possible Joshua and Fury? Who knows? Who knows? But
and you think it's for sure they go to DAZN? Like you're like, there's not a doubt in your mind in a sense.
What's that?
There's not a doubt in your mind like that Matchroom is leaving.
I'd say I'm 80-20, 80% sure he goes with DAZN. But
I think that'd be such a bad move by Matchroom.
I mean, DAZN, Sky is obviously a massive, established media kind of powerhouse. It's our version of, I don't know what you would, like ESPN, I guess. Like, it's where you go to watch sports. It's got its dedicated news channel. They put it through Sky One as well. You can watch Sky Sports News via Sky One at a certain time of the day, or there's the rolling, constant 24-hour news channel, Sky Sports News channel. So that machine is there, but I don't know if DAZN at the time are only pushing the boxing, then the boxing fans know what DAZN is and they're already there. Then it will be a case of getting the casuals to tune into DAZN when like a Joshua fights or a bigger name to know like well Joshua's fighting, where do I watch it? But that's the process is more difficult, I guess, getting them over to something that they maybe never heard of.
I think it's such a dangerous move by Matchroom to jump on DAZN when DAZN is going to have these same issues in the UK market they had here in the US market. They're entering a very entrenched media market landscape. The networks have basically developed a what's the term where it's like a monopoly, but it's an oligarchy where there's a few companies that are controlled. There's a term for it. Gary, well, there's a specific term where it's not a monopoly power.
Yeah,
there's 2 or 3 companies that have monopoly power in the market. Anyways, that's what we have a little bit in the UK. You have BT, you got Sky. What other networks provide sports content? BBC, I'm assuming.
A little bit. They I guess the highlights package, like I guess the Sunday Ticket kind of thing, or for the Premier League, the match of the day it's called. Every weekend they have the highlights of every game. But I think they just had a live game. It must have been a cup match because BT and Sky have got the actual Premier games. But yeah, very little outside.
ITV?
Sky and BT,
ITV?
really.
ITV? Do they have any
sport? Not really. No.
Okay.
They show the Tour de France and things like like kind of
the small
niche, small stuff
that DAZN's going to get right.
Oligopoly.
Yeah.
Oligopoly.
Thank you. I definitely need someone to say it.
I was an econ major too.
I went the other way with
my professors are going to kill me right now.
But when you have basically what sounds like just BT and Sky, only two networks dominating the sports landscape in the UK, that's a more entrenched oligopoly than we have here. Because you have ESPN, you got CBS, you got NBC, you got did I say CBS already? Yeah, and ABC owns ESPN, so that's a little bit of a different category. Like you have at least 1 or 2 more networks here to where there's more of a proliferation of content on different networks that you can maybe poach from. It's just 2 mega conglomerates you're competing with that, from my understanding, last time I checked when we were talking about DAZN and what they could do in the UK, they have their rights deals for the next couple of years still for, Premier League and other sort of football leagues especially, I think, are obviously the primary sports content you're going to get or want to get if you're a sports network. And if they're boxed out of that and you only have boxing, even though boxing is more of a mainstream sport in the UK than it is in the US, it's still a niche sport when it's not an AJ fight, I'm assuming. I mean, it's, the regional guys are sort of fighting the Conor Benns of the world and the Josh Kellys of the world and even the Callum Smiths of the world. They get a fraction of the attention that AJ gets. So you're putting all of your horses, all of your wagons on AJ, just like they put all of their wagons on Canelo here. I'm very concerned about that, especially since I think DAZN has hurt Golden Boy in some fashion, and I think it has hurt Matchroom US in some fashion as well. I don't want to see that happen to Matchroom UK because Matchroom UK is one of the strongest promotional entities we have. It's one of the deepest promotional entities we have. And they do produce a lot of quality fights in the UK and European market for us. So it would be sad to see this environment, this climate we've had in the last few years get affected negatively by a bad business move. That's my concern. But, I mean, again, like Rob said about, I forget what it was, maybe I'm just being pessimistic and negative when that's just the boxing fan in me.
The naturally. Jaded cynic.
Yes, absolutely. Because we're all jaded cynics as boxing fans.
Not the
Gary. I mean, what
Texan?
Gary, your thoughts on DAZN, Matchroom, and Sky?
I think DAZN, because I don't know. I think DAZN will have more legs in the UK because it can get soccer programming, right? Like it can get Serie A, right? And people will watch it. What they have in the US, no one really watches, right? So there's more things that it can get in the UK. So it's never going to be what they had imagined it to be. It's never going to be, the Netflix of sports, right? It's not even going to own all sports. But I think it has more legs in the UK than it does in the US.
I'm assuming all of those European leagues also have TV rights deals with BT or Sky. At least a major one, like La Liga, I'm assuming has some sort of deal with either BT or Sky, or
I'd have
can
to look
they
into
afford
it.
to compete for those sports?
I
you know what I'm saying? I think they would have more of a chance to compete than the NBA. You know, they have zero chance of, or the NFL package. Like, you're not getting that. You don't have the.
Yeah, but for that juxtaposition, then we have to talk about the British Premier League, and that's the only juxtaposition really, not La Liga or Serie A, because that would be like comparing Japanese baseball and American baseball.
How popular? And I don't know how popular is Serie in England. I mean,
yeah, I mean, look, the proper, soccer heads, as you real like fanatics, they want to watch. They want to watch. No, they want to watch the Italian league, the German league. And I know DAZN have got German league in Germany. They've got Italian league in Italy. That's why those are the big real thriving markets. they got Cristiano Ronaldo as one of their global ambassadors, and he's fighting. He's playing his sport on Italian DAZN, DAZN Italy, and so it's a massive, really going well, I think. And like Germany, they've got the Bundesliga, the main league in Germany. That will be the thing. Again, like over there, DAZN needed like NFL rights or NBA. Here, to really crash the market and go, whoa, they need the Premier League, and that's just not available right now. But I think we have a lot more sort of auxiliary sports, like side sports that there is a good following for. Like, I mean, look, Matchroom is the darts, right? Mm-hmm. That's just been on the World Championship for the darts. I know you, Gary, but that's just how we are. We love that shit.
I lived in New York. We used to go to all the different bars and play darts. I can't imagine people wanting to watch that. I just can't picture it.
Gary, it's just an event. It's like people are there dressed up as fucking...
Like a hot dog eating contest? Would you laugh at?
Well, I'm just saying, people are dressed up as Fred Flintstone. They're dressed up as fucking Donald Trump, anything, drinking alcohol, watching two equally guys that like a drink throw darts at a board. But it's a real like atmosphere. It's crazy, but that's like owned by Matchroom. The World Match Play and World Championships is a Matchroom product. Barry Hearn really drives that himself. So does that come across to DAZN? Is that got a Sky contract? There's a lot of other. We're real sporty night. We really love our sports. Real strange stuff that you're like, what? Why? Like the World Snooker Championships, for example. Look back in the day when that was on BBC One. That had crazy viewership. People tuning in from all over to watch. Yes, it Gary, straight in your Texas.
Yeah, a little more to the left.
Yeah, is that the Tanahara? Oh, no,
it's Oscar.
He's getting ready to take down the hooker one. That's what it is. But yeah, so I think in that regard, DAZN can pick up other sports that do have not substantial, but followings that would add, like, oh, I want to watch oh, it's over there now. Okay, but again, it's a question of people knowing where it is and how to get to it. That's the when it's a brand new kind of network, I guess. But we shall see. I think they'll throw a ton of money at it and see how it goes.
One other quick question before I jump to the last topic that I know Rob's going to be able to be on for because he has to leave soon. Champions League, right? Isn't that what it is, right? Where like you have it's kind of like where all the different leagues in the European.
Yeah, it's like the European. It used to be called the European Cup, but yeah, rebranded.
I'm pretty sure that's a big thing in the UK. Obviously, speaking.
That's completely BT. That's a BT product. Right
what would be easier to get to siphon off, let's say, like a package of games in the Premier League? Like, let's say, like, I don't know, 12 games a year, so one a month. I don't know what the package could be, right, realistically. Or would it be to try to siphon off the Champions League? Because those, to me, would be the two big soccer leagues that you would want to go after if you're in the UK, not Germany or Serie A or La Liga. It would have to be either one of those two if you want the NFL or NBA equivalent in the UK, in the US.
Yeah, because I think the Champions League BT rights were not that long and locked in for X amount. But I do notice that a lot of these contracts now aren't these big bumper like 5-year deals. Because they just want the rights to come around again quick and see who's ready to, chuck even more at it to get the rights. So I would think, I don't know, very difficult because of obviously contracts are signed elsewhere. So, but I would imagine if they were to like, I don't know, get like one Premier League game a week or
something like that. Yeah,
like each fixture week that they get one or maybe two. I don't know because I think Amazon get the Amazon Sport or Prime, whatever. They've got a few Premier League games, but I think Champions League is exclusive to BT for maybe another 2 years or something like that. So I think that's out of reach right now.
Okay.
But I don't know if, like I say, a game a week of Premier League is achievable or not. But I don't know. It'd be difficult. But I do think I'm not a massive follower of certain sports, but whether rugby is something that DAZN can focus on, cricket, there's a lot of sports that I think maybe they could grab the sort of shirt tails of and make their own. Maybe.
I think you were talking to me about this a while ago about how like the Indian Cricket League is massive in the UK because a lot of the Indian immigrants to the UK, something like that they can go after and it would make a lot of sense.
And I think Amazon maybe picked some of that up, or I can't remember. They've just not long done a. Where was that? I can't remember. I'd have to look into it, but there is stuff for them, but. Again, it's not the major stuff, just like it's crying out for over there, like an NFL, or it's the same dilemma, I think, wherever they go. But at some point, stuff will come available. Then it's just how aggressive they are and stuff like that. Because the Sunday ticket, the Sunday ticket that they were always looking for, or that red zone or whatever it was. I was under the impression that reading sort of into it, that they were trying to build whatever subscription numbers they could to present to that, because I believe relationships were good with the NFL. They obviously show it in Canada and different places, and it was like, look, and I guess schmoozing, taking guys to dinner, but it seemed to be relationships were building, and it was kind of a look, we've got this many subscribers, obviously with your product, we would love to draw more, and things were going good, and then I think the pandemic kind of thing, and the DAZN said, no, we're not paying for those rights anymore at the moment until things start up again. We're not paying what we owe you there. I don't know quite how it works, but I think it's hurt everybody, but maybe it hurt DAZN more. I don't know. Only these networks know themselves how much it hurt, but yeah, difficult, but we shall see. But I do think Matchroom are going to shift.
Be interesting to see when that happens. Last UK-ish topic before you go, Rob. I know you have to go soon. Eddie Hearn via Box Social, and we're getting it by way of Michael Benson, of course. Eddie Hearn has confirmed that Alexander Usyk is now out of contract with Matchroom. Unless the Anthony Joshua fight happens next, Usyk is WBO mandatory, but the priority is obviously AJ versus Tyson Fury. I was pretty surprised by this, Rob, to be honest, the idea that Usyk is now out of contract with Matchroom unless he fights AJ next. Your thoughts on it, as it's a potential big shift in the business relationships and affiliation at the top of the heavyweight division?
Yeah, I kind of sort of heard something along a little bit more. It's kind of, I think, caught a few people like, oh, but I think I heard, and also that his deal with sort of, because this is a co-promotion with what's his name, Krasuk.
I think you're right.
His manager, I can't. But his deal, kind of with that side of things, was at an end. But if Matchroom decide we don't need to re-up with this guy, who would look at picking up a Usyk in the heavyweights? Because looking across the pond, people are saying he isn't that guy, at heavyweight, and he was obviously the man at cruiserweight, but people generally don't really care about the cruiserweights too much, so goes for cruiserweight and everybody wants him.
It's a weird position because I think Usyk was in a kind of perfect relationship with Matchroom because he was a good foil in the UK market. He was doing good numbers as a UK foil with people like Tony Bellew, Nunn White. Like, he seemed to be doing a lot of good business with Matchroom and Sky. And honestly, it felt like he was a borderline star in the UK in a sense, at least in the boxing world, right? Like Usyk was one of maybe the top 5 stars in terms of just business in the UK market. And now that relationship may not be the relationship going forward, it does hurt him a lot. I feel like if you're Usyk going to a PBC or a Golden Boy or even a Top Rank, it doesn't really go down the path where your brand was going, which was a very European-centric brand and market. And now where does he go forward? I mean, does he just go with like Kel Sutherland and just try to be in Germany more? Like maybe you can do like the Klitschko route. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of in no man's land here, especially since, like you said, he's not a U.S. draw in any sense. And the U.K. promoter that would promote him is not promoting him. And I don't think Frank Warren picks up the bill because Frank Warren has no money.
That's the only other option is Frank Warren, BT. He'll be back with Matchroom. He'll patch this up. He's trying to use his leverage to get the Joshua fight. He will be back with Matchroom, and he ain't going nowhere. It's the only option that makes sense for both of them, right? Like, he'll be back with Matchroom. This is just hurt feelings and trying to force my way into an AJ fight.
I kind of agree. I think that's because looking at other options, I just don't see that they make any kind of sense. You know, I don't think Usyk is real of interest over in the US to the sort of mainstream market as such, or anything like that. So Matchroom, with the ability to be seen in all those countries, if they obviously do go with the zone, or fights in America that will be broadcast to the Ukraine, and that's where his home country will have to tune in if they want to watch. So I think Gary's right. I've listened to the Boxing Social thing, and it was kind of like Eddie was sort of saying that's his last fight with, because Rob Tippett said, I've heard his contract's up, and Eddie was like, yeah, unless we do the AJ fight, but we want to go ahead with Fury. And he kind of suggested that Usyk wants literally millions of step aside. Like, he suggested it was a lot, it was a big amount of millions, not just whatever. So, and he said, well, if we do it without the WBO title, then it doesn't really matter what millions he wants, kind of thing. Like, basically, we're not paying you a shit ton of money to step aside when we can just say, well, we don't want the bout. He said, but also we will be petitioning for the situation where it's like we're it's an undisputed fight, but the very next day, if Joshua wins or whatever, that title is then up for grabs. It's vacated. It's that kind of thing. So who knows how this is going to pan out? But I do think Usyk is just trying to leverage, well, if you don't get me AJ, I'm going to walk. It's like, where are you going to walk to? So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, interesting. But I do think a lot of these guys, the Matchroom / DAZN, welcome to DAZN, Alexander Usyk, welcome to. I think those contracts are kind of, if you look at it, I think when they were announced, a lot of them were 3-fight deals and things like that. So a lot of those are coming around now. So I think we might hear a few more of those, because I think that was Danny Jacobs' last Matchroom.
Yeah.
That, and things like that, which I think ran over from his HBO deal, and then obviously HBO went down, and it's a Matchroom, and obviously Matchroom were with DAZN, so it carried on there instead of the 5 or 6 fights on HBO, it was 2 or 3 on DAZN. So I do think we'll hear a few more of those, people that are coming up and maybe available, because obviously Hooker went. I think that was more a mutual agreement rather than contract up. I don't know. I think maybe Farmer is maybe someone like that, possibly out of.
Jesse Vargas, another name I mentioned earlier. Maybe contract up soon.
Yeah,
has to be.
I think Anthony Sims, although obviously on the lower end of things, he had was it a draw or a loss, or
it was a loss, right?
Loss, yeah. So he didn't re-up or whatever. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. See who's still left in from the original few that obviously they all signed up early and got that early DAZN money. I think that'll change. Might be a little more difficult to get the ones that they really want without well, hang on, you want me? Where's that DAZN money? Well, this is the DAZN money. Well, that's the same money as
Over here.
I don't have to, I don't have to move. But yeah, interesting times, I think. So, but
I think Andrade's another one on that list that in the next year he's not going to be a DAZN fighter.
Man, yeah, I don't know.
If he doesn't get a big fight soon, whether it's Munguia or Triple G.
Yeah,
because Eddie's not doing it. He's not getting it
all
done.
depends. This whole thing depends on what Triple G decides he wants to do. Because he's got the option of maybe taking Murata, a big fight in Japan. That's always been talked about. Which
And
then
now,
leaves
and now it's a unification because Murata is now
Super
WBA champion.
Yeah, he's been bumped up. And now, I don't know, you guys will get into it, but Eubank has jumped from PBC, even though he's now said he wants the, I want the Charlo fight, I want the Canelo fight, I want the Triple G. Well, you wanted the Charlo fight, it was right there. You were, why didn't it happen, But you've jumped away. So I don't know, but yeah, that whole Andrade, Triple G kind of all, big mixture is, I think, all waiting to see what. So I think, forget saying what Canelo, because he's committed to himself to 168 now. So this middleweight division, I think is, although people will say, oh, he's old, he's over the hill, it's time, but it still depends on what Triple G wants to do. So I don't know what Andrade's going to get. Because I like the Leon Williams fight. I still think it's a really good fight, but a lot of people are like, meh.
It's just
he needs a big fight.
It's just an all right fight. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's decent. But it's still not the big fight. I don't know what the big fight is. Because people are saying he should fight Saunders, but I don't even think that's the big fight for Andrade. I really don't. I don't know.
I think Saunders would obviously be better than Liam Williams.
Well, yeah, it's
maybe not the actual entertainment of the fight, but in terms of name value, it's better. I think people want Andrade to be in a divisionally relevant fight, whether that's Charlo, whether that's Munguia, whether that's Blajo Saunders. We want him to feel like he is in a relevant fight. And again, he is in a position where he can get those and it not be the big fight. I don't think he necessarily needs a big fight per se. Like Derevchenko is a name I think other people have been mentioning lately as well. That would make a lot of sense for Andrade. We value Derevchenko. He's a relevant fighter in the division, so therefore it's a relevant fight for the division. And when he's fighting the Silitskis of the world, even though we like Silitsky, he's an all right fighter. He's a top 20-ish fighter, I guess. But he's not relevant in the same sense.
No.
Liam Williams is a good fighter. He's a top 20-ish name, but he's not relevant in the same way that these other guys are.
I think the play for him is the Saunders, because then you're a 168 champion. He's then got, I think, 10 days to decide, because he doesn't necessarily lose his middleweight title then. I was reading he then has 10 days to choose, which if you've then become a champion at super middleweight, I don't see you going, thank you, freeweight world champion, I'll go back down to 160 when Canelo's there. And Canelo's spoken of wanting to be undisputed at the weight. So the winner of Saunders Andrade, you'd think would be in line for the Canelo fight. But so that would be his move. But I just think there's maybe a Triple G fight. Eddie Hearns mentioned that. If certain fights don't happen, I'd like to make on. I've told DAZN, you have a contract with that fighter, you have a contract with that fighter. Let's put them in together. So I don't know what we see, but it better be something on the good end for an Andrade, because at the minute he's just treading water, if not sinking.
I think Blajo Saunders is earmarked for Canelo. We're not going to get Saunders Andrade.
Yeah, because then is Saunders really going to take an Andrade fight building up? Because he's saying I'll fight Andrade in February, and the winner gets Canelo. Do you really gamble that against the awkward opponent like someone like that? No, hell no, I don't think so. But maybe he does. Fighting man, the gypsy kind of fighting man. But I don't know. I think that's silly on his part if he wants to. I mean, make some good money, I'm sure. And then if he wins, gets that's a bumper payday for the first half of the year. But I don't know. But yeah, I'll say cheerio to everybody. I'm gonna have to jump. So yeah.
Everyone go follow at UK Raw Boxing on Twitter, Instagram, and his YouTube channel.
Yes.
UK Rob is one word, And that always throws me off when I search it because I search it at 3 words and it doesn't pull up. And then I put UK Rob together and it pops up immediately. So UK Rob, 1 word, space, boxing.
I would go down the route of changing that for you, Matt, but I've seen what happens when you try to change the name of a YouTube channel. That didn't go down.
It is a nightmare scenario. I don't think Gary was around when that happened. Oh my god!
I was a listener. I mean, I was yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have.
What were we for a while?
MCR.
No, it wasn't MCR. It was MCR Network or
Yeah.
Net.
Yeah,
MCR Net.
Yeah, and so it was definitely something net. Was it just MCR Net or was it like
MCR Net? It was MCR Net. Yeah.
God, that pissed me off.
Yeah, me and Fu used to tell you all the time. You'd be like, "No," we're like, "I kind of like it. Leave it." But anyway, yeah. Don't forget, hit the thumbs up, share the show, all that good stuff. Follow me, UK Rob Boxing. Catch you later.
Bye, Rob. We have a few more topics to get through. Gary, I'm assuming you're going to be on for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, what else we got?
Yeah, exactly. And plus, we got to talk about our, your man's Adrien fucking Broner. He's back, guys. He's back. Fighting Pedro Campa, headlining that February 13th Showtime card. You're excited?
Gary? No, but again, it's AB, so we're talking about him. I don't really, no, I'm not excited. But this is what I meant. Once a star, always a draw. We're talking here about Adrien Broner. And how long ago, how many years has it been since he had a quality win?
Oh, a win, not a fight. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me look. How long has it been? I'm going to guess since 2017. No, 16. I'm going to guess 16.
That's...
Oh, no, I was wrong. It was 17. Adrien Granados.
Okay, yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good win. I mean, not like, a great win, of course, but it was a good win. Adrien Granados, 2017. Then he lost to Mike Garcia, draw with Jesse Vargas, and then the loss to Manny Pacquiao over a year ago.
It's 2 years ago. January of 2019.
Yeah, 2 years ago. He's going to come back in about a little bit over a 2-year hiatus and fight Pedro Campa. I'll say this about it, because it's not like we have to wax on about this forever. The division, whether it's 140 or 147, with Adrien Broner actively in it, is a better division. Not because he adds a lot, like talent value or legacy to the division, but he's a name. So what that means is that you can use him as a great gatekeeper. He's going to be a great tune-up for the stars and a great up-and-coming fight for your prospects. And I don't know if he's actually going to be that. I don't think Broner wants to be in that position. But the possibility of Broner being in that position is better for the division. Like we've always talked about ththese prospects like Jared Enos and Virgil Ortiz. And guess what would be a perfect opponent for them? Adrien Broner. Mario Barrios. No. Broner's a better opponent for them than Mario Barrios.
I guarantee you when this fight was announced that Pedro Campa was one of the most popular names Googled in the whole world, right? Because no one knew who he was. He fought Adrien Lopez to a draw. And everyone's like, who's this guy Broner is fighting? I mean, Broner's got appeal.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. So am I excited for it? I mean, no, but yeah, it's good, I guess, to see Broner back, I suppose.
Broner is a platinum selling musician.
He's not
actually a platinum selling artist.
Okay.
That I forget how many sales you need to do to be a platinum artist. I think it's
500,000.
I thought it was $250,000.
$250,000? I don't know.
I thought it was $250,000. But anyways, he's not making those sales. No, his albums suck. Have you listened to Broner's music?
No.
You love R.A. the Rugged Man, so you're gonna love Broner's mixtapes. I guarantee it.
R.A. the Rugged Man is top 5 ever.
Yeah, Broner's top 4 ever. So
it's ahead of R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yep. Who do you think he gets next though? Like obviously, like this is all in a sense to just get him back in to get him a big fight. What's the big fight for him though? That has to be a plan for him. It's not Pedro Campa.
I'm guessing it's going to be at 40 or 47 because the big fights are at 47. I think they do the Figueroa fight that they were supposed to do years ago. And then I think it was Figueroa who went MIA on a drinking binge. I think they make that fight because it's a fight that Broner could win because Figueroa, who I love, looked pretty shot in his last fight against Ugas. And he can fight at either 40 or 47. So there's no, where he goes from there. I mean, I think they give him one more big fight, which he obviously loses. Who is that? Boots?
That's not a big fight, though. For
You
him,
don't think
it's not.
so?
For
No.
for him, it's not a big fight.
Thurman?
I was thinking Thurman, to be honest. Of all the names that like popped in my head, it feels like it's gonna be Thurman. Thurman needs a tune-up. They had a little bit of beef back in the day, if I remember correctly, right? Like back in like 2014 or whenever that was, right? Like back in the day. It would be a fun fight in terms of the build-up.
Those guys, though.
Was
like Porter destroyed him when Broner was still serious in the ring, right? Like,
nah, man, Broner knocked him down in the last round.
Did knock him down in the last round and lost the first 11, but that's true.
And to be fair, the first 11, nothing happened.
Nothing happened, but he lost every single round.
Because nothing happened.
You're right. Like, I mean, Porter won that fight on the cards clearly, and Broner did score a knockdown in the final round. But like, he lost every round. It was, and then he lost to Mikey Garcia clearly. Like,
he beat Jesse Vargas, in my opinion, but that's beside the point.
He gave away.
he gave away like 5 rounds in the last 5 rounds. Yeah. I mean, honestly speaking, I think that Broner is probably going to be in one more big fight and then be done with the sport. And it's going to be a Thurman pay-per-view because they were both with Pacquiao, right? So like you're thinking that maybe they have they both got the Pacquiao rub in a sense, put them together, and it should do decent numbers on pay-per-view. And it does fill out a lot of sort of goals you need done for both guys. You need Broner to get a big fight again because he needs another paycheck. Thurman needs to get a big fight again and a big win again to get catapulted back to the top because Thurman is one of the bigger stars at the top, including Spence and Crawford. So it just fulfills a lot of necessities you need if you're either Al Heyman or even just like the sport of boxing as some like, personification of the sport, right? Like this makes a lot of sense. Even though we all know Broner's not going to be in it for the long run, this is not like it's about Broner having a title run. Broner has a specific use. He has to lose to someone that's important. That's all.
This was the other thought was Rougarou, right? Like, do they bring him in, give him a massive payday to get beaten down by Rougarou, and then build Rougarou off of that, destroying Adrien Broner?
That could be another one. A progress, maybe. I think that is far more of a like long-term like potential goal in terms of like trying to build up Progress because like Progress is not a star right now. No, Progress Broner you can't put on pay-per-view right now.
No, it's Showtime or a Fox fight, but you're using that to get a massive rating to show how good Progress is.
Yeah, and you're hoping that 2 years after that Progress can be on pay-per-view. Yeah. How old is Progress? He has to be. Yeah, I feel like he
didn't get a late start. He was with Lou, and it was like Lou said, I couldn't get him. I couldn't get a call back from him. No one wanted to fight him, and
Progress is in that position, kind of like I'm trying to think of a good comparison. But he's in a tough position because he has a loss to a pound-for-pound fighter in Josh Taylor. He is in a new division where he hasn't been established yet.
He's staying at 40.
Okay.
Rougarou staying at 40.
Is that confirmed? Because the last fight wasn't at 140.
No, it was. There was. I talked to him. He trains with Kendo Castaneda in Houston. He said, I don't know where that rumor came from. I'm saying at 140. That fight was at 40. I think he was at like 42 or something like that.
Then Gary, they definitely don't waste a Broner fight on him.
No,
he's saying at 140. Yeah. What are you going to do with you, man? Like, you're going to build you back up for a Josh Taylor rematch? Like, if I'm Al Heyman, if I'm a promoter, if I'm a network, how can I make money off of you? With a Broner matchup, right? You're spending millions on that matchup to make hopefully more millions in the back end, right? Down the road, right? Where's that millions going to come in with Progress at 140?
At 140, right? I mean,
Jared Enos makes more sense because at least he's at 147, right? And then you're thinking he's going to be somebody mixing up with Crawford and Spence and Thurman and Porter and all these guys. Give him a Broner fight to get him, exposed to the casual boxing audience. But progress. There's no end goal except for hardcore fights.
Right.
And
I
this
mean,
is not a hardcore matchup.
It's not. The goal is, which he says he's staying at 40. It's just the fight's not there. Not in the foreseeable future, at least. Like, there's no big fight where they can make all their money back and some.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, I thought I talked about this, but apparently I didn't. And the more I remember the show. Canelo and Yildirim, that fight's no longer going to be in Mexico, most likely due to COVID. That fight's going to be pushed to Texas, most likely. They did mention Florida, I think, in the article, but obviously Texas would make the most sense since Canelo just fought in Texas. He has a large fan base in Texas, and Texas is the most open state in terms of attendance for stadiums and shows. So, Gary, thoughts on Canelo Yildirim most likely moving from Mexico to Texas?
It's Canelo, so it's got appeal. You know, De La Hoya fought in San Antonio. He fought in El Paso, so he'll draw because we don't get Canelo like Vegas does. Mm-hmm. Although we just got him, and then we got him a bunch of times a couple of years ago. But it's Canelo, so he'll draw. So it's good for Texas. You know, I like fighters fighting at home because I love the reaction that they get. So I wanted to see Canelo fight in Mexico, but it's good that it's in Texas. Mm-hmm. It obviously has a huge following there, so it'll do fine. They'll sell as many tickets as they're allowed to sell.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Do you think it's going to be in San Antonio again? Because the Conor Smith was in San Antonio, right? Yeah.
San Antonio is a great place to put it. Like, it's going to be either San Antonio or Dallas, but San Antonio is such a good fight city.
And it's just geographically closer to Mexico.
Yeah.
From what I know, you have a far bigger, like, Mexican, like, truly immigrant Mexican population in San Antonio than you have in Dallas, even though obviously there's a massive Mexican population in Dallas as well. It just makes the most sense. And as far as I know, he's fought far more times in San Antonio than Dallas. The Austin Trout fight was in San Antonio.
Twice in San Antonio, once in Houston, and then once in Dallas. I think those are the only 4 times he's fought. Unless
you can see this.
For other cards, I don't. As a headline, he's fought 4 times in Texas, twice in San Antonio, once in Houston. Because he did the triangle. He did Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas.
Well, I obviously just showed it on accident. Didn't mean to show it. But the next topic, I want to get into conspiracy land with you, Gary. I know me and you do love a crazy conspiracy. Ryan Garcia talking to Al Heyman before the Campbell fight. The phone call conversation with him. Thoughts on this? Because to me, obviously the easy answer for why this phone call was made was that Al Heyman wanted to try to preemptively, that's probably the wrong word, preemptively set up the Gervonta Davis fight, knowing that Ryan Garcia was probably going to beat Luke Campbell because anyone that follows boxing closely knew that. Yep, that's a shout at you, Gary. Or is this more of the long-term play to bring Ryan Garcia and maybe Canelo into the fold, into the PBC umbrella? We know obviously that Al Heyman was in some sort of contact with Canelo and his team in regards to the Caleb Plant fight that didn't materialize late last year. So your thoughts on this? I'm leaning towards this is a long-term play by Heyman, even if it wasn't explicitly for that, and it was just for, hey, good luck on the fight, champ. Hopefully we can fight Gervonta, next. And that's all it kind of was. The implicit reason for that phone call is, I want this young guy on my team because he's a star and fuck Oscar.
And he brings Canelo, right? Like I always said, right? Like if you're out and about, if you're at a bar or whatever, when you're single, and like there's a girl who's a 10, an absolute 10, and she's got a friend who's like a 6, right? You go up to the 10, and 10 being Canelo, because that's really what you want. You introduce yourself to the 10, say hi, and then you shift all of your attention to the 6, ignoring the 10. Now that's in her head. It's like, wait, I'm better looking at her. Why is he so focused on her? Now I want him. I think that's kind of I think that's kind of what we have here. Like, I think this is all, it's all to land Canelo. Like, we get Ryan Garcia, great. That's a win. That's a great win for us. But there's a bigger prize there. And that's we want to land Canelo versus Caleb Plant. We want to land Canelo versus Charlo. We want to land those fights over here. Where I don't have to split the pot with anyone or anything. It's mine. I think that is the end game. And Ryan, I don't want to say as a pawn, right? But because he has a ton of value on his own, right? But I think it's all to get to Canelo. I think the reason why they're entertaining having Garcia fight Tank Davis is to get to Canelo. I think it's all going to get to Canelo.
So how do you see it going down? I mean, do you see? Well, I mean, you think that Gervonta and Ryan Garcia fight. You think that fight happens, like I do. Okay, so we're on the same boat there. Do you see in the next 18, 24 months, let's say, that both Ryan Garcia and Canelo Alvarez have advising managerial contracts with Al Heyman, and they're no longer with
I can see him fighting over on on Fox or Showtime. I can't see Canelo being advised by anyone other than
himself.
Canelo. Is there a Mrs. Canelo?
Or Eddie Reynoso.
Eddie Reynoso, right? Like it. I can't. Not more than one fight with a rematch clause. You know, like I can't see it. Like Canelo, I can't see that. Canelo's got so much power over his own career. Like,
well, it's not a promotional contract. So you have to.
I know, but like in those Al Heyman contracts, Al Heyman gets final say on all the fights. Canelo, in all his contracts, gets the final say on all his fights. So Canelo gets to pick who he wants to fight, more or less, right?
By the way, that's not true all the way. Like, Mayweather doesn't have that.
Okay, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mayweather did, so he would have to be.
When Pacquiao was fighting with Al Heyman, do you think Al Heyman had final say and not Pacquiao?
I think that was already, like, I think that deal was, it was a 3-fight deal. I think the first 2 fights were already agreed upon before they happened. So it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't much to debate. And now the third fight isn't, and now there's a standoff, right? Like, I think the deal was
And to be fair, there's not much debate with Canelo and Al Heyman, it seems. They both want Caleb Plant.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
I not that obviously I say that they are for sure going to have a contract between each other, but I don't think it's out of the question because having an advisor or a manager is far different than having a promoter. It just is. A promotional contract and how it's structured is just different than an advising deal or managerial contract. It just is. However, I do concede your point, at least in some principle matter, because I do think that Canelo is probably not going to sign a long-term contract with anyone in that sense. At least for the time being.
Never again. Right? Not after what happened with Desire.
Yeah, and I'm not including like the 2-fight deal with Matchroom. It seems like that happened. Yeah. Like that doesn't really factor in for me. That's not a long-term deal, right? We're not talking about 3 to 5 to 8 fights. We're not talking about a multi-year deal. That's a half a year or a year for some fighters, right? But I do want 100% agree with you, Gary, on the sentiment that Ryan Garcia is that, for lack of a better term, pawn in this big business move to try to get Canelo. Absolutely, it makes perfect sense. Because not only is like Ryan Garcia a pathway to get to Canelo in some fashion, but Ryan Garcia is still a massive pawn too. Like he still brings a lot to the table. So why not? Why wouldn't you do it? Because you're not wasting your energy on somebody that isn't going to bring you anything.
Ryan Garcia, you're not throwing money away. You're getting a good return on your investment in Ryan Garcia. So it's a win-win. It's
absolutely
not a gamble, really.
Even if you never get Canelo.
Right.
And if you only got Ryan Garcia in like 2 years, something like that. It doesn't matter. You got Ryan Garcia, you know? And he is clearly going to be one of the next stars of the sport. Like it's without a doubt. Even if he loses a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's all right.
I don't think it fucking
matters. Talking about Broner. We still loses every fight.
I think that whole like sentiment about like that casual fans turn off people when they lose is so overrated.
Once a star, always a draw.
It's like Manny Pacquiao. Like we all saw that guy literally die. His angel leave his his soul leave his body. The angel grab him up, take him to heaven, and the guy was like, "Nope, you're still alive, damn it!" And then kicked him back down to his body, and then he rose back from the dead.
Oh my God, is he dead?
That was the best call in boxing history. It was so great that I didn't watch that fight live, by the way, right? I watched it after the fact. And when he said, "Oh my God, is he dead?" I thought he was dead. Knowing full well that Manny Pacquiao was alive and well, guys. Anyways, moving on. Speaking on Ryan Garcia, his promoter, Oscar. He's still obviously talking about a ring return or under the advisement, so to speak, of Mike Tyson, and he's still calling out Triple G. You mentioned earlier in the show about how Oscar just has to work now because he doesn't have Canelo. Is this part of that?
Yes. I was going to say that this is not real. This is only to make get his name back out there again because he was MIA for a while, right? Like it was like investments. Like I have energy futures. Like I don't really do anything. It's just they sit there and I have mineral rights and it's just like I collect an income from it. Like I don't really like that's like what it is like having Canelo, but that income isn't a small monthly income. It's massive millions of dollars, right? It's like now he's got to go work. You know, like he's got it, and this is a way that he can get his name out there. I think he's working across the aisle with Ryan Garcia. Like he's got Hooker Ortiz. Like he's back in the grind now. I think he took however many years off doing whatever Oscar does. I'll not even go there. Right?
So you see this as more of a publicity stunt than
there you go, publicity stunt.
Because I see it as no, this motherfucker actually might have to fight. That's how I see it. Like, yes, it's a publicity stunt, but it's not just I'm gonna get my name in the headlines and that's it. No, he actually might have to fight because who else is gonna make him money than him at this point? I mean, Virgil Ortiz and Hooker, regardless of what it does, is not gonna make him money. Most likely, he's probably gonna lose money on that event. Tanahara is not gonna, like all these other names than Ryan Garcia at this point. Make him probably lose money at this point. Ryan Garcia is the only money-making venture he has in Golden Boy stable, so he might have to actually fucking fight.
Virgil Ortiz, he needs to move along quickly. Like when Shaq went to the Heat, right? Like he went up to Dwayne Wade and said, I'm getting up in years. I don't have many championship years left. You're going to be a superstar now. And Wade left and was like, no, you're going to be a superstar now because I'm winning another championship. And they did, right? But it's like, you're going to grow up right this second. I think that's where he is with Virgil and Ryan Garcia. Well, Garcia is already a star in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, Virgil, you're ready now. Like, I don't care if you're not. You better get ready immediately. Like, go get ready now because you need to start making me money.
I think I'm going to say this. In the next 12 months, we see Oscar De La Hoya lace up the gloves again in the ring fighting.
It's ain't going to be against Virgil. I mean, it ain't going to be against Triple G. He's going to get killed. He's been out of the ring 10, 15 years.
First off, even though you're not technically a New Yorker, Gary, that New Yorker kind of came out right there a little bit. It was hilarious. I can tell you lived there for a few years. Okay. Obviously, like, any sort of logic tells you that that fight shouldn't happen. But DAZN also wanted Canelo Alvarez to fight Oscar De La Hoya as a premier opponent. Right? Like,
I don't care if De La Hoya wants to come back. If it keeps him away from the coke and the booze and the whatever, good. Go back. It's better for you than that stuff. Don't fight Triple G or Canelo. Like, go fight some guy with a 7-17 record. Like, what are you doing?
He can't fight Canelo now because he doesn't have him under a commercial contract.
Fight Triple G.
And man, there's so like a part of me that's stating that, yeah, like Triple G would want it because he probably hates Oscar. And DAZN probably wants it because it would make them money. It's a freak show fight, but it's one that sells. And it's look, any of us that watch this show, that are part of this show, we know we've watched the sport for too long. It loves the freak show shit, man. Freak show shit like gives money to a lot of people in this sport that when they're hurting for money, they go to that freak show shit. And Oscar De La Hoya needs money. DAZN needs money. Triple G might need money in terms of how his contract was restructured with DAZN. I think this fight happens. I'm gonna go out there and state this that we get Oscar De La Hoya versus Triple G before we get Triple G versus Munguia, Triple G Andrade, Triple G Charlo. Before any of those matchups, we get Oscar De La Hoya versus Triple G.
If there's anyone close to Oscar who Oscar will listen to, tell him not to do that. If he wants to come back, come back. Don't fight Triple G. Go fight a cab driver. Right? Really?
Sergio Martinez would be a name that I would be able
There
to.
you go. I mean, Sergio Martinez, I think is great. Like I thought Sergio Martinez, he got a late start, but as a middleweight champ, I thought Sergio Martinez was great. Do that fight. There you go. Fight Triple G.
Yeah, but Triple G is going to happen.
Go fight Carl Froch. Froch always wants attention.
And it's going to be a pay-per-view.
No, it's got to be on DAZN.
No, De La Hoya Triple G is going to be like Canelo, Callum Smith was, and there's going to be a pay-per-view ability to buy it and DAZN.
Because like people will buy it, but it's just like this is bad for his. It's not good for Oscar. It's not good for him.
Oh man, I just cannot wait to see it. And I think that's it. Rob already brought up Chris Eubank confirming his deal with Team Sutherland. So yes, that is it for today's show. Gary, final thoughts, man.
It is January 10th, 2021, and Ivan Calderon is still not in the Boxing Hall of Fame. That needs to change. Iron Boy Ivan Calderon needs to be in the Hall of Fame. We need to get him in the next class, 2021 class, which gets inducted in 2022. We need to make that happen as a boxing community. Find me all on social media, 3D Boxing, 3D Boxing blog, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Everyone, remember, follow Rob at UK Rob Boxing on his new YouTube channel. You can follow me and Gary on our social media platforms on the links below in the description. Rob is there as well as Foogatti. Excuse me. What else for housekeeping? No General Strike podcast episode today. Maybe one tomorrow in the morning. Obviously, the documentary episode is coming out sometime this quarter, hopefully. And what else? I think that's about it, guys. Remember, at all times, fuck the police and free Palestine. Have a great day, great evening, great night. Peace.